Hello and welcome to another update from the farm. Today is 31st May 2025. Time is about 1:30. Slightly warm, but no rain since morning. But the last week it has been raining a lot. In fact, the good thing is because of the rains, the soil has become soft and we are able to do the JCB work, the earth moving work a little faster than otherwise. So what we are doing now is doing trenches or contours or bunds, however you call. These are very important for a few things. The first and foremost being water conservation. So we'll slow the water flowing in, like through rainwater, whatever comes from the other land. Water will get slowed, and the second part of it will be soaking. The water will get soaked into these trenches. Hopefully over time we will get a lot of earthworms, which will dig holes, and water will go into the soil. And the third major important point for these trenches is for the preparation of humus. So we are right now trying to prioritize humus preparation, and what we will do is, as a starting point, after these trenches are done, we will cultivate two things: kambu, that is pearl millet, and takkapundu, which is daincha. Pearl millet is a monocot, and daincha is a green manure. Basically it's a legume, it belongs to the leguminous family, dicot. So there will be an appropriate mix of carbon and nitrogen ratio. In fact, all the monocots are rich in carbon, organic carbon, and all dicots, specifically legumes, are very rich in organic nitrogen. And there is scientific evidence that says when we have carbon and nitrogen in the ratio of 10:1, humus preparation will be happening very fast. So that's the goal. So once we cultivate kambu and takkapundu, that is pearl millet and daincha, for like 60 to 90 days, we will cut them and mix them and put them in the trenches, and then we will start planting trees. So that's the goal. In some of our previous videos you might have seen that we have zone 0, which is the house, and zone 1 will have vegetables, and then zone 2, 3, 4, 5, it keeps going. The idea is zone 0 will have a lot of humans. It's basically the place where we live. It should be very clean, and as we go up the zones, zone 2 and 3, we will visit them rarely, and finally zone 5 will be a wild zone where we will be having very limited human intervention, but it's mostly for wildlife. We will just observe the nature. Hopefully we will get some rare birds and maybe rare seeds and other things there, right? So given that concept of zoning, which we borrowed from permaculture, now here's the second part where we are doing trenches. So all through the farm, like all the 5.2 acres, we are planning to do these trenches. Right now I think about 2.5 acres is done. We've taken about 1 week, almost 50 to 55 hours, which means around 50 to 55,000 worth of cost. I think roughly it will cost about 25,000 per acre if we have to do these kind of trenches. And the measurements is like this: from the trench center to the next trench center we will have 18 feet, which means the bed will be roughly about 16 feet, assuming a 2-foot trench, right? Now we will try and follow Subhash Palekar ji's the 36 by 36 model for all the fruit orchard, coconuts, and everywhere. We will follow the 36 by 36, which means we will have one row of plants right in the center, and then we will draw 2 more lines at 4.5 feet on the left and 4.5 feet on the right. That way, from one line to the other line, like after a couple of trenches, will be 36 feet exactly, right? So we will have the spacing between 2 rows at 36 feet, and we will also have plant to plant distance of 36 feet. That way we can get the proper 36 by 36 model all through, right? So going back to the zone discussion we had, even for the vegetable zones, that is in zone 1 and zone 2, we will try and do the same trenching. That way my goal is to keep adding all the monocots and dicot straws into the trench to focus on humus preparation. And on the beds, we can always have smaller beds with a ridger, right? At 1.5 feet distance or 1 feet distance with 1 feet depth. It can be customized, but to follow a consistent approach, we will do these 18 feet beds all through the farm. in all the zones. Right now even zone 5 is included, but hopefully we will not touch it. We will still have to decide where exactly the zone 5 will come in that last section. For how much space, I'm thinking about 4 to 5 cents is sufficient, but there's also a few rocky sections there, and I think we can use that place for other purposes as well, right? All right, so this is the trench plan. I think this work will take another week. We encountered a few issues. One, while measuring these trenches, I think while we planned for 2 feet width, after the JCB operator finished his work, we realized that the trench was slightly larger in certain places, like 2.5, 3 feet, and in some cases like slightly less than 2 feet, right? So when we measured the next bed or the next trench from the edge of the bed, we realized that the bed size was not coming properly to the measurement that we wanted. So with that learning, what we did is we started measuring the next trench from the center of the trench. So now we are following center to center 18 feet. That way trench center to trench center will be 18 feet, and with 1 feet width roughly on both the sides gone for the trenches, the bed will be exactly 16 feet. And in 16 feet bed, if we leave out 3.5 feet on the right and 3.5 feet on the left, in center we will have exactly 9 feet, which means we will have one line at the center and then one line at the left at 4.5 feet, one line at the right at 4.5 feet. So that's the plan for the trees. We will try and do multi-cropping at the 36 by 36 points, or basically the canopy layer. We will have tall trees like coconut, and then maybe the next layer we will have some fruit trees, and then subsequently we will think about banana, papaya, and finally we'll also have a mix of Gliricidia, subabul, and drumstick, mainly for nitrogen fixing purposes, and obviously we can use it also for the cow fodder. And we anyway need the mix of dicots dicots which are legumes for the humus preparation. So that's the goal. We'll have to start planning for the sapling collection. I already visited a few nurseries, one of the prominent ones being Isha Nursery, which is about 2 hours from my farm near Mecheri. That's on the way to Metur. They do have a lot of local varieties. I am very keen to get as many native trees as possible. That way we can work with the nature, and usually native trees are known to be disease resistant, pest resistant, and they can easily accustom to the environment here as compared to the other hybrid varieties. Clearly we will have no to GMO, there's no doubt about it. We may think of hybrid varieties, but they will need extra care. But my goal is to maximize native trees and native plants as much as possible. That way we can also keep collecting seeds and use it for next generations, right? So that's the plan. A few small things here. As you know, my farm is not perfectly rectangle in shape. So when we started from the fence, the first row was at about 4 feet distance, mainly to just start marking the side, and that's basically the peripheral trench that goes all around. So we'll have a 4 feet trench running from all the 4 sides, east, west, north and south. And from that 4th feet, the first trench is about 16 feet length. That is where we will do the timber trees, and from then on, like I mentioned, we are doing the 18 feet trenches. So first row will be timber, and then subsequently we will have the Subhash Palekarji's 36 by 36 model, right? Now, since the farm is not perfectly rectangle in shape, when we started from this corner, we had parallel lines, but after a certain point, we had a bund here, which is actually really parallel to the front side of the farm, right? So here alone, we don't have parallel trenches. So these parallel lines sort of end here. This is where we also have the 3-inch mainline pipe, which is at about 3 feet depth. And from this point onwards, even though they are not parallel to each other, these two trenches, we have slightly got an angle to it such that these lines will be parallel all the way to the front of the farm. So we had to make these few adjustments, and wherever we had pipes, we had made sure that there's no trench on the pipe, obviously, because pipe is already there and we don't want to damage them. And we also wanted to make sure that we don't plant any trees on the lines where there are these pipes, right? So we absolutely wanted to give slightly wider trenches, the beds wherever we had pipes. With that said, I don't know whether we can do the 3 lines that I talked about in the 18 feet bed. We'll have to see. If it is wider, we can do, otherwise we'll have to plan it separately, a little different. Okay, that's all the updates that I had now. I will give you another update after all the trench work is done. My expectation is this earth moving work with JCB will take probably another 7 days, and maybe another 2 to 3 days for the front section where we have some cow fodder growing right now. We didn't want to disturb them. We have jolam, maize, nati maize, that is local variety. So once we harvest them, then we'll start the work in the front part. Now there are also sections where we are encountering some rocks. Not a lot though, luckily. There's only a few that are really big rocks, so we're just trying to trench around the rock and make sure all the trenches are connected. That way, even if it floods, we can have all the water get collected in the section where we're thinking about the farm pond. So that's it. I'll look forward to seeing you on a different video later. Bye.